Okay, it feels good to come off a bye week. Great week to get better fundamentally after a good solid win, and go out and do a little recruiting. So back here ready to roll. Ready to take your questions.
After the first two games and watching the film, kind of getting the week off, you kind of digest everything and look at it. What have you liked from what your defense has done? What kind of things would you like to obviously see from your back?
Yeah, I would say things that I like. I like how hard we're playing. I think that there's growth. There's been growth in our understanding our system and being able to, communicate better. I thought we had still some breakdowns in that area against Ball State, but as a collective group, I think that's improving, and I think that you can just see from a run fit perspective that we're still. I even thought even during the bye week we got better at some of those things. So, but in terms of just playing hard, just got to finish. I did not like that we didn't finish the game. We're up 30-0 and really in complete control of the game in all three phases, and then we didn't finish. We had them on a critical 2nd and 9 that I thought would have created another 3rd and long. We had just gotten 2 3-and-outs in the third quarter, and we're taking all the energy from them, and then we let them pop a long run. And because we didn't fundamentally, it was one of our, second team guys, but still, we got to be able to create that depth. And so then we let them off the hook, gave up a pass, and then they get a field goal, and then just kind of gave them some momentum back, So didn't have that killer instinct that you have to be great defense. So, and I would even just say, in general, that to me is a sign of maturity. We got to grow in that area with that ability to consistently, repeatedly do the little things over and over again. That's mental toughness to me.
What challenges does Wade provide on offense? A great tight end.
Yeah, they've got, as far as what we've played, for sure, the young man from FIU is a good tight end. This guy's different, bigger-bodied guy, great hands, a lot of catches. They're looking for him. They really are. He had a great season last year, and so he's a guy that creates, anytime you get a guy in the core that is blocking and is a vertical threat, that puts those guys in run-pass conflict. It makes it hard on us. So that's a big challenge, and they ran the ball really, really well on the last 2 games, and really did a great job against Duke, and kind of that's how they won that game. And then this past week, we were able to, run for a whole bunch of yards, and so just kind of a tough, downhill, physical style, athletic quarterback that can hurt you with his legs and his arm. And so, once again, those 2 things to me, athletic quarterback and then, receivers in the core that can stretch you vertically and put you in those conflicts, I think they give defenses trouble.
What might change for them with him now? How much of what they do in terms of moving the quarterback around, the option stuff there? How much is just kind of scheme and backup?
Yeah, I think if Wolford was more of a guy that was just a true pro-style, stay-in-the-pocket guy, I'd say it'd be a pretty dramatic difference. But he's really not. They're very similar. There's no question that Hen's more of a runner than Wolford. But bottom line is they both have very good athleticism, and they both fit their system. I expect, us to see more passing, with the current guy than Hinton. But I think that they still create schematically a lot of similarities, because if you look at what they did this last week, when obviously they were expecting him to play, and then he gets hurt pretty early, and Wolford came in and he really didn't miss a beat, so they didn't have to just go through and completely change everything. So I think there's similarities, and we'll obviously adjust as well. I think he's bigger, first of all, and I think that's made a big difference physically, being able to play more physical, to play better, longer during a game. And I just think just confidence. He's not hesitant at all. Obviously around the football, two big takeaways for him and those recoveries. Getting 3 takeaways, I didn't mention that before. That's another thing. We got 3 the first week. We got 3 last week. That is our goal for each game. But those are huge, and he's always seems to be around the ball. Obviously his position demands that, and we expect that from him. But continue to challenge him to communicate more aggressively and more loudly. But I think you're just seeing him more confident, more mature. You're older, you're better. Just a guy that understands where he's at. And as the weeks pass, his understanding of our system grows as well. And I think he'll just continue to play better and better.
Follow up on that, obviously without having seen him in games, going back to spring practice, what were your first initial impressions of him as a guy who was very assertive on the freshman, had some early success? When you first got him on the field in spring, what was your first impression?
Well, thought he was a very good football player. Ironically, we recruited him at the school I came from, and really wanted him bad. Had him on official visit, so knew him as a high school player, and knew he was a really good, not only player, really great kid, and cares about school, cares about the little things. So I knew what we were kind of getting there, and then to come here and actually get to coaching, I felt like that he was the kind of player that I thought he would be. Just kind of say, hey, just need to get a little more meat on you, get you thicker so you can be able to take the pounding of this league, So, but once again, even in the spring, he won our award for most takeaways, in spring ball. So a lot of interceptions, scooping scores, just once again, always around the football. And so he's a key cog in all of this. Safeties are a big part of what we do, and really proud of him and how he's developed.
What have been your impressions of Jacob Robinson to this point? And statistically, I think he has 1 tackle in 3 games, but
Yeah.
obviously he's making more of an impact.
There's no question, and I think sometimes you gotta be careful and just the thinking just because he doesn't have tackles, he's not being productive. For me, a lot of times what we ask our D linemen to do at times is the way they take on blocks will set somebody else up, and we're not allowed to give them an assist for that. But in my mind, it's an assist. When I take on the block properly and I spill it to the right guy or hammer it to the right guy so he can make that play, and he does that really well. He's a big physical guy. He gives us, as an end, he gives us a lot of anchor, a lot of strength there. But the biggest value he gives us is his leadership. And he gets guys right on the field, off the field. His effort is phenomenal. You can't ask for a guy, to do more than he does in terms of off the field stuff. In the locker room, in the classroom, representing this university, in a first class way, just being everything you want. And if something's not right, you challenge him, and he goes. And as a young guy, that's not always easy to get, being at that age. But he's earned the respect of his teammates. They listen to him. They respect him. And he has tremendous value. So I think he'll continue to be more and more productive as the weeks pass.
You talked about being able to get out and recruiting this past week. What was the reaction like, especially maybe kids in Indiana? Seeing your defense play a couple of weeks now. Has it been a bit more positive response?
Yeah, I would say I spent the first couple of days in the South and then came back to Indianapolis to recruit, and I'd say in both places it was very positive. Especially here. I just think that there's, they were able to see with their own eyes some positive changes, and I think that creates excitement. It creates excitement from the coaches, that I talk to, and going to them and them just seeing, how hard the kids are playing, and they're playing together, and they're moving together, and they're working in sync with each other, and they're creating takeaways and coming up with key stops, and so. Obviously it's just 2 games. It's just we have a long ways to go and a lot of work to do. But there's no question that it really created a positive buzz, from the people that I talked to, and then obviously going down south and I mentioned this to John Crawford. So I went down to his area, and all they talked about was him and how they're watching him play on TV and how proud they are of him and what he's done, at Indiana, and that helps us in recruiting. A guy that came in as a freshman, we played him as a freshman. He played well, and they see him just take where he left off and just keep climbing off of that. So, that's big as far as building our defense, building the culture, building the expectation, because it's all about recruiting and getting guys to fit what we do. Well, yeah, we don't ever use that word, and I know you kind of hear the, people comment about that over time and being around this game along, most of my life. Don't like to use that word, but I do like to use the word situational football. you have to understand the situation. You need to know the down and distance. You need to know the score. You need to understand how much time is left in the game. What do they have to have for them to have success? And we talk about that all the time. And so there's no question that will determine a coverage we might call. How aggressive are we? Even at the end of a half, do they need a field goal? End of a game, end of a half, they try to get 7, they try to get 3. That affects how aggressive, what kind of leg do they have? How far do they have to go and how much time do they have to get there? So, I'm not a bend, don't break kind of guy by personality or by scheme, but there are times when if all they can do to beat us is throw it over our head, yes, we're going to keep it in front of us. We're going to let the ball be thrown, and we're going to drive to the football and play everything from the top down. And we have some coverages designed for that, So, but the bottom line is, and this is what we will always say, is our objective is to win the football game. And so we want to make sure we understand what they have to do in order for them to be successful or for us to be successful in those situations, and that's how we'll play it.
Follow up on that a little bit. Ball State didn't get an offensive drive for a touchdown until about 3 minutes to play, but the thing was, it took them 6 minutes to get there.
There's no question. Matter of fact, I was watching that the whole time. And as they were doing what they were doing, my thing was, as long as they don't, get anything big on us, they're going to run out of time, And so, I didn't want to be in that situation. I felt like that we allowed some of those things to happen, but it was also good teaching. Be like, hey, this is how we're going to play. They catch the football, we tackle them, we get up slow, eat the clock. Then we get the ball back after an onside kick, and there's pretty much they've lost their opportunities. So I just think you have to, once again, situational football. And we know what our goal is. Absolutely, do we want to, put them away and not be in that situation? But it presented itself because we allowed it to, and so therefore, and they took advantage of it to their credit. But then we got in that situation. Okay, how do you play? And so if you notice, we kind of kept everything cupped in, and just try to use that clock and let that, use to our advantage. And once again, ultimate goal is to win the game.
How important though is it to, if this situation comes up again, to keep the shutout? So you don't want to give up maybe 80 points. You want the shutout for a variety of reasons. Not let them even get the short stuff.
Yeah, there's no question. Well, here's the thing. I think that we will, and it was my intention when it was in the third quarter, was we were going to just keep playing our style of defense. When it was 30-0, we weren't changing anything. We maybe played some more guys, but we didn't call it a whole lot different. And so, I wanted to shut out. Matter of fact, we talked about it afterwards. I'm still ticked off that we gave up what we did, because it's hard to shut somebody out in college football. I don't care who you're playing, what level, it's hard to do that. And through almost 3 quarters, that's what we did. And so to not finish that and then to look up the scoreboard and they got 20 points at the end of the game is just really frustrating to me. And because we work really, really hard to be great. And so my challenge to these guys was we didn't finish, and therefore we allowed these things to happen. And so, but when they were occurring, we weren't calling it any different. And we're going to be mixing it up, be aggressive. We're going to contest routes. We're going to contest footballs. We're going to try and create takeaways. And if we score ourselves when it's 30-0, then you start really putting your foot on their throat and ending the thing. And that's the kind of mentality I want us to have. And that's how we're going to, it happens again, you want to finish it like that.